at keeping them at an hour because, like,
Hmm.
obviously this is something that I could talk about for hours on end, and I know my guests could too, but
Mm,
the audience I don't think is willing to listen for more than an hour.
yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Heavily invested. Here we are, episode 6. Our guest today is Xavier. Now, Xavier, we have quite the recording history, me and you. Uh,
Yes, we do.
yeah, back in college, we hosted a radio show together where we talked about pop culture and video games and anime and all the fun stuff. Um,
Yeah, got into trouble.
oh yeah, for sure. But I can safely say that my time on our radio show definitely inspired my passion for the podcast. So
I
without the
know.
radio show, I
I
would
know.
not be here right now.
And you do awesome. Like I said, if I knew you would like done work like this, I would give you more work for the radio.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. I was like, oh man. Um,
I would have got my money's worth. I'm like,
yeah.
that's free labor. Goodness.
I know. I was just a pretty face on the radio show, right?
Oh goodness.
um, but yeah, I thought about doing a show similar where we talk about pop culture in general, but I've always really been interested specifically in what people like feel about gaming, like how they started gaming, and because like each person that I've talked to in the past and even on the show has had different answers to that question of where their gaming story started, why they like games, what games they play. So
Hmm.
I've always been interested in that. So for you, let's just jump into it. What was the first video game that you really invested time into?
And all the questions I think you asked, this was probably one of the most difficult to think through
Sure.
because for me, gaming just it's always been there, and
Yeah.
so it's like I can't point to a well, no, I can point to a kind of a first game
Sure.
that I mean, of course, because but first, the earliest thing I could remember with gaming was I don't even if you know if you could call it gaming at that point because I mean it was the first step of gaming. It was a Batman game. But it was one of those LCDs games
Oh, okay.
like you get from those Happy Meal that is just
Yeah.
very and it's just like you press the button to jump over the barrel.
Right. Right.
And I mean, that's one of my earliest memories I remember because I kept it in my mom's car as a kid, and I kept it in the back window, and which in the sun, and that can't be good for the LCD screen. So I'm
Right.
sure in that, but I mean, really, I think that was my first kind of experience with gaming.
Okay. Yeah. Um.
And then,
Go ahead.
I mean, investing time, I guess. I mean, I've always played Pokemon. Like as a kid, I remember
Mm.
having a Game Boy Color and there was one of those with the see-through shells. It was a purple see-through shell that you could see the components in the back,
Oh,
and I
okay.
just followed. Yeah, and I would say my first investment into invested time into gaming was Pokemon. Like I think it was Pokemon Gold.
Okay.
But the issue is I can't really say that because I couldn't read,
Yeah.
and so it was. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Mm. Pokemon Gold, but it was I was I was I was just I couldn't read, and so it was
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm just wandering around beating up Pokemon, but it's not like I was actually progressing. I don't think.
I have a very similar situation where like Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire was the first one that I really remember putting time into, and
Hmm.
I was at the point because being dyslexic, it took me a lot longer to learn how to read.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember I could like get the general premise of what was going on in that game. But the thing I remember the most is that my older brother had Ruby and I had Sapphire, and depending on which one you played, the teams switched on who was right and who was
Right.
wrong.
Hmm.
And so I remember we would argue all the time, and I'd be like, "Team Aqua is right, Team Magma is bad, evil," and he'd be like, "No, Team Aqua's evil, Team Magma's right." Um, and so like I think that's one of like my original like really heated gaming moments as a kid.
Mm. And when I think about it, actually, I came to the conclusion that like one of the first video games I really invested in was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Oh, okay.
And I say that because that's when because you know me, I'm always out there trying to get information, learn about the news games, you know.
Yeah,
I'm like, and that's what always frustrated me in our friend groups because a lot of our friends they just wait around for news and like
yeah,
where I'm like, I gotta be there right when the news drops or whatever, you
right,
guys.
right.
And so that would frustrate me sometimes, but it excited me to share this stuff with you guys.
Yeah, there
But
were so many
so,
times I could think of where I had no clue, and you'd bust in the room and be like, "Hey, did you hear about this thing?" And I'd be like, "What? No, what? No." And so you were always my first line of defense when it came to news.
and so I think actually with Diamond and Pearl, that was when I first really went outside of the game to learn more about this stuff. And so,
Okay.
like, I learned about the new evolutions for like what Cerebi, Poke Jungle.
Yeah.
That's when I really started using the internet and finding my sources on this stuff. And so that's why I say that's when I started investing in gaming
Mm,
more.
okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I
Hmm.
wonder, Xavier. So I've asked in the past people what their favorite video game is, but I
Hmm.
realize that's hard to pick one. And
Hmm.
while talking to Logan in episode 5, he had kind of like sidely mentioned his Mount Rushmore of games. And
Hmm.
so for those non-American listeners, Mount Rushmore is a very big monument where it has 4 presidents on it.
Yeah.
And so the idea of a Mount Rushmore of games is, what would your top 4 games be?
We'll start off easy with actually it's probably one of the most hidden gems on the 3DS, I think.
Okay.
And I've talked to you. It was Oasis.
Yes, yes. I had never played it until you mentioned it, and then I played the heck out of it because I really enjoyed it.
It was, yeah. It's just like this new IP, like nothing like and I think it was refreshing because I mean, especially now that a lot of time games and movies they build up what's coming after them, but Ever
Yeah,
Oasis was like just one and done, and that was refreshing. And I just loved the setting and the characters and the world building it had.
yeah, yeah. I
And
really enjoyed
so,
that game as well.
hmm what else was? Oh, I have no, I have my notes. Next is Persona 5.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've heard how great of a game Persona 5 is.
Yeah, I've heard it's crazy. I've heard a lot about the Persona games, and I own I think 3 of them, but I've never played them. Isn't that
Well,
crazy?
no, I mean that's understandable. I have never played a Persona game in my life either. Persona 5 was my first. I mean, I
Okay.
knew about them, and so and that's nice. That's what's nice about it is that you don't have to play them. They're very much standalone.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear.
And so Persona 5 is just beautifully crafted. The characters are understandable, and uh, there's certain themes I think it gets very well. So of course it has a rebellion theme
Mm.
of rebellious spirits, and I think it really gets the idea of what a movement should be, and that In the game, there are these things called confidants, and they're like relationships with people in the community that you build up. I mean, they're very specific people. I mean, other games have it like that, but usually
Yeah.
they tend to be characters around your age, and they're waifus that you can romance. But the same with Persona 5 that is diverse in not just gender, but also in age. And
Oh,
so
okay.
there's one of the confidants is he's a older gentleman. He's a politician that has who got caught in doing some corrupt things, and he's trying to turn over a new leaf. And so,
Huh.
and another one is a younger kid who you form kind of this older brother situation with.
Okay.
And but I think they handled these situations very, very tastefully. You
Okay.
know.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm always a fan of a game that has those kind of connections built into it.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of the newer Fire Emblem games, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Awakening was the first one that you could like do the whole marriage thing in.
Right.
And I know it got a lot of backlash from like fans and media, but I liked it
Yeah.
because if you played the older Fire Emblem games, there was really, I think it started on the GameCube, but there's always that
Mm-hmm.
aspect of companionship where like if you fought next to a person, you could like get a level of companionship with them, and then you would do more damage, or you'd be able to avoid more
Mm-hmm.
hits, that kind of stuff. So it was always built into the game. And it wasn't until
Mm-hmm.
Awakening that they made it into this like marriage thing. But I thought it was cool. I like that, and I like that component on top of like a battle type game. You have like more connection to the characters you're playing with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so number three,
Yeah,
this was a difficult one, and because I this is of course a big franchise, and so I just had to go through all the games and really think of it. But I
yeah,
had to go with Pokemon Black and White 2.
really, okay,
Mm-hmm. And I think it was just, I mean, I know they kind of done, okay, they, that you beat in the first, I mean, first and second generation is very similar that, the first generation, you beat Team Rocket. And the
right.
second game, it's sometime after that, but you're dealing with the fallout of Team Rocket. Whereas Black and White 2 is the same thing with Team Plasma. You took down Team Plasma in Black and White, and now in Black and White 2, you're kind of dealing with the fallout of that. But it's just how they expanded the world,
Okay.
and I don't know. I just really enjoyed that game. I just want to see if you can. Can you at least guess what the franchise is?
I mean, this is Animal Crossing.
No,
No.
no.
Wow.
But I've talked to you about this franchise over and over.
Oh, is it my Yokai Boys?
Oh yes, it is. It is Yokai
Mm,
Watch 3.
I should have my first
And
guess.
because this game wasn't released in America, I didn't think it would ever get released in America.
Mm.
And so I took advantage of like my internship in Japan for I bought a used Japanese 2DS and a copy of Yokai Watch 3 in
Mm.
Japanese and played through it in Japanese. And so that's how much I wanted to play that game. And I mean, it delivered. It just I could go on and on about the Yokai Watch series and how it's misunderstood. It's not just a Pokemon clone, but I mean, I'll just keep it kind of brief. It's just
Yeah, I mean, you can go into it for a little bit. Like tell listeners, just give them a brief idea, because I mean, yeah, like we said, we've talked about it for a handful of time, but
mhm.
I think the concept of the show is for each person to talk about the games they like. So give us a
Yeah,
synopsis.
yokai, Japanese ghosts and mythical monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and so the Yokai Watch allows a person to see these yokai and befriend them, and
Ah, okay.
so And so people think of like so with the yokai watch, you get these medals that you put into the watch, and it kind of summons these yokai. But I think people are like, oh, you collect yokai and watch it. It's like, no, you just befriend them and then you summon them to battle for you. But the thing is, sometimes they don't have to come battle for you. They could say, yeah, no, I'm not gonna come.
I think you had said to me in the past too, like unlike Pokemon, where you kind of walk around in grass and you catch Pokemon, and that's kind of the whole shtick of it. In Yokai Watch, you kind of have to do like a quest for each yokai,
Hmm.
and so like
Well, yes.
yeah, once you do that quest, then you can like maybe have them join you in battle, right?
Well, yeah, it depends on the yokai, but yeah, like there are tons of yokai that they're like quests you have to do. You have to figure out what's going on, and then you can befriend that yokai. Sometimes your watch does have kind of a locate feature,
Okay.
and so it tells you when a yokai is nearby, and then you have to use a lens to find them because they're invisible,
Okay.
and so you find them like that, and so
Yeah,
it's
I remember. So for those who haven't played it, but there's a game called Nino Kuni,
hmm
and it is phenomenal. Very very good game. But it's a
hmm
similar concept to Pokemon, where as you fight enemies, you can capture them. But there's a little bit more of a random aspect to it. And so, I'm a huge fan of games that have that concept of like what was once an enemy can now be a friend. And so I'm actually surprised I've never got around to playing Yokai Watch. So I
hmm
hope to play it soon.
and and actually the interesting thing that you bring up Nino Kuni is that it's developed by a company called Level 5.
Yeah.
And they also developed Yokai Watch.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Level 5 did Yokai Watch.
Yep, they do. And they do other stuff like Inazuma 11.
Mm hmm.
And then they did the Professor Layton games,
Yeah.
and a newer one that they've done, which is, I think, yeah, it has a release over here, is Snack World. I haven't really gotten Snack World. Like, what is this yokai watch? Let me watch that anime. And then next thing I knew, I was 50 episodes in, and I'm like, when is it coming to America?
I love it.
It's an episodic anime.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
things are just very condensed, and there you have different segments that go. So like they'll have two segments where the Keita, the main character, he'll meet new yokai, and they'll have to solve a problem. Like, oh, this yokai keeps make me spend all my allowance or whatever.
Right,
Like, okay,
sure.
we gotta do something about that. But some of them are more one-off. Like, one of these segments they did about 50 episodes in was a taxi, and so it was these two very country bumpkin characters that are very popular because they're cute, and so they would have a redemption taxi. And so the segment was just driving in a taxi at night, and they
What?
have a yokai in the back. And after driving, the yokai in the back would be confused, like, why am I here? And they would pull out a letter, and these would be letters from parents who watched the show with their children, and
What?
they'll be reprimanding the yokai like for doing weird stuff, like and they was like, "Oh, thank you, Miss Tanaka, for watching every week with your son." And so one of the yokai is a bear, and he's smart. He like has a graduate's costume on, but he has a little wand with a little green like swirly poop like emoji on it.
Oh my gosh.
And the gimmick is if he puts this poop thing on your head, it makes you smarter. So so of course he gets in the taxi, and he's like, why am I here? And the mom and the letter says like, I don't like poop humor. I don't think that good for children. And they're like, okay, we'll make sure he doesn't do it again.
That's so
And so
funny.
and but no. And then so this segment happened, and they did it for a couple of the episodes, and eventually it went away. But then, like 200 episodes later, they get to a yokai. Oh, yokai the episode segment of a yokai who makes you say why, or like ask questions like why. You know how kids like
Yeah,
are
right.
just very intuitive, like why, what's that, why.
Right.
And so this so they summon this Uchi this the bear character, and of course, eventually this bear gets angry with this thing, asking him so many questions.
Right.
So he, um, So his ultimate move is he eats the poop.
Oh, no way.
And so of course the main character freaks out and they're like, he ate the poop. And and they're like freaking out, and so the music stops. I'm like, what? And why the music stopping? And off in the distance you see an explosion.
Wha-
I'm like, explosion? And through the sky you just see soaring this taxi, the taxi from this segment.
Oh my gosh.
And the taxi lands and it just rolls up in the door. You know, like with the Japanese taxis,
Right.
they press a button and the door opens automatically.
Right.
So the door opens and the characters are just, and they don't even look at him. The taxi drivers are just sitting there, just looking forward. And you can just see him he gets in the taxi silently and the episode ends there.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah, I was like, and I had to stop. I had to stop the episode for 15 minutes because I couldn't stop crying.
I love it.
Because I'm like, this segment was like 150 episodes ago. I'm like, it just like the setup was
Right.
150 episodes.
Yeah, the setup and the payoff. I love it. No, that's super cool. I know that is by far your top tier for gameplay, and that kind of attention to detail is huge too. I know, like, when I play a game, I want that kind of attention to detail, for sure. For those that don't know you, which might be most people listening, you
Mm-hmm.
are in South Korea right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, as an avid gamer, how do you obtain your new games that come out? Like, how do you get them, the English copies, if you live in South Korea?
Well, so I mean, it's so great that we're living in 2020 now, and that
Mm,
pretty much everything releases digitally.
yeah, yeah, that's totally fair.
I mean, really, the biggest things I'm waiting for there. I don't know what Nintendo's up with their indie developer games. I mean, I understand with the coronavirus recently that production has been slowed
Mm.
on some of those games. But I mean, there's some indie games I'm waiting for them to hit the Switch, and they don't have dates.
Oh wow.
But for the most part, I get my games digitally,
Yeah, yeah.
and so there's that. But I am having a dilemma right now that so so I did kind of jump the gun by getting a Japanese 3DS because
Sure.
eventually they did release Yokai Watch 3 translated in English,
Oh no.
and so I mean, but I mean, I played it. And I played the Japanese version, and I still got through it. And I understood enough,
Yeah.
and so. But now I have a hungering for to play it in English.
Right.
But I don't have an English DS anymore
Oh
or
no.
2DS, and so and the we do have some like it's called a like the brand is AFES and it's an on base exchange, and so they do have English stuff, but
Okay.
right now they do not have any 3DSs or 2DSs.
Oh dang. That's so
and
frustrating.
so and then I'm worried because I think pretty soon Nintendo said they're going to stop doing virtual console for 3DS, stop supporting it or whatever.
Dang. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean,
Mhm.
they're really moving to the Switch, which I can appreciate too, because for so long it felt like the Switch really didn't have a whole lot of Nintendo titles. Um,
Right.
so I'm excited to see a lot more Nintendo games coming out for the Switch. And with that
Me too, but
idea, I am interested in your thoughts on Paper Mario, because that just got announced. I mean, really, it was like what, a week ago or two.
yeah, too. I think it was really stealth. I just wasn't expecting it. Not now,
Yeah,
but the way it looks so dark, like the Origami King, and it's just like Peach
yeah,
is. Oh, I don't know what like Peach. Like I'm like, what is going on? This tone was not
yeah.
what I was expecting.
Yeah, it seemed like if
But
you really looked at the video, it looked like Bowser was all folded up too. So it looked
Yeah,
like really you're like maybe even similar to Mario Star Saga. You're like working with Bowser. Um,
yeah.
so I'm interested for sure to see what the game's all about. I'm gonna be posting videos, Let's Play, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm still debating because I've never actually been a big Paper Mario person.
really? Okay.
I played the original N64 one,
Yeah.
and then I I think you mentioned these games on the earlier show,
Yeah.
the Partners in Time, the Mario Louis
Mm-hmm.
Superstar Saga,
Yeah, yeah, it's one of David's
and
favorites.
mhm, I enjoyed those ones, but I didn't really play too much Paper Mario. I didn't really play the Game 2000 Year Door
Sure.
or the other ones, and I mean, I know some people are kind of nervous because what was it, Sticker Star and Color Splash?
Yeah, they really
They
tanked.
Yeah, but the thing that has me excited is that because they had some very good humor that game. They had some great writing,
Yeah. Yeah, they really do.
and and obviously I love some great writing given Yokai Watch and just I love just great jokes, and even Animal Crossing has some great jokes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you've done it because they've been playing the rainy days, but like catching snails.
Mm.
And what it says is like, okay, I mean, you caught a snail. I mean, nothing to be proud about. I'm like, geez, Nintendo, way to put me down a peg. It's like,
Yeah,
and
the
so,
puns are very funny.
and it is, and it's great. And I mean, like I said, there's just some great writing, like
Yeah.
Orville, and I love the Dodo Airlines.
Yes, I do too. I'm a big fan.
I'm like, he always says it when you fly somewhere. He says, "We're gonna make water landing, but that's okay because we're a seaplane." And I'm like,
I am a huge fan of the Animal Crossing, um, the New Horizons, the one that just came out. For those of you that
hmm
aren't aware of what we're talking about, obviously the game that we're playing right now. Um, and you know, we have both been fans of Animal Crossing for a long time.
hmm
What I'm interested in talking to you about for a little bit is how do you feel about Animal Crossing right now? Because I know I have some issues with it, but I'm interested in kind of what your opinion is on Animal Crossing.
because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I'm gonna make a point about this later,
Sure, sure.
but I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite right now. But it just I mean, how they're making you go slow, and especially with the holidays,
Sure.
releasing stuff with DLC, where past Animal Crossing games, I think you had everything.
Mm,
You could go to whatever holiday, like when what was New Leaf? I think
yeah,
you could go to Halloween. You had no
right,
problem with going to Halloween. Here, Halloween's not in the game. I mean, you go to Halloween. There's nothing there right now, but
right.
I mean, hopefully when if we get to that point, there'll be a Halloween.
I'm in the same boat as you. It's funny. I never thought I would like it that way. Like if you had said to me, "Hey, we're gonna release a game to you in segments over time," I'd be like, "This is dumb." But I think it works for Animal Crossing
And I
because,
think it does work.
yeah,
I'm just impatient, and
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. I think that's what to say. There's two parties to it. There's a party that doesn't want to wait, and there's a party that like doesn't mind waiting.
right.
And I'm in the same boat where like in other Animal Crossing games had no problem time traveling. Like I would go, to
hmm
whatever date I wanted on the GameCube
hmm
version or whatever. But this one, I really feel like it encourages you to play,
Day
slowly.
by day. Yeah.
Yeah. The issue that I have though is not the like seasonal content. It's actually
hmm
the lack of normal Animal Crossing content. So in any other Animal Crossing game, there's like 4 or 5 store upgrades. And that,
hmm
including your house upgrades, those are the two main like priorities. As you upgrade your house, the store kind of gets upgraded, and then there's more stuff to put in your house, and it goes back and
hmm
forth kind of that way. But this
hmm
one, I don't know. I really felt like there wasn't as much like furniture to obtain, and there like was not as much like sets. It was always about sets in the other Animal Crossing game.
Right. And I mean, I do think they're kind of focusing more on the seasonal aspect of
Mm-hmm.
this game. And so I think I'm sure we'll get another store update and some future update. I mean,
Sure.
the next round of news for that I think will be July. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it should be early July, late June,
Yeah.
because the last kind of DLC update they gave us ended with what's going on now, the wedding event,
Right. Right.
and so, but I mean, excited to see where we go next,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and then
I'm in the same boat there.
and then it's just because yeah, it just and also I feel like it gives you they're kind of saying that if you give someone too many options that they can't make a choice. And I
Mm.
feel like a lot with the island designer and the terraforming, I feel like sometimes that's a little bit overwhelming, and it's kind
Sure.
of like I feel kind of lost. Like I would love for you to come see my island, but not right because
Yeah.
it is a it is a construction zone, and you have to wear a hard hat, and I don't think I have anymore. And
Yeah,
so,
I totally get that. My island is the same way. Like, I had this whole setup where I really liked how I had laid out my island, and then
mhm,
now I'm like overthinking where I want to put things. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't put that there because, like, what if I want this to go there? Like, I totally get that. I've never thought about the too many options thing, but I'm really struggling with
right,
that. Like, I have too many options for what to do, and so I don't know what to do. Huh.
right. And I think like with the, I mean, I get the day by day. Like for New Leaf, I took New Leaf day by day. There was a game there. I did it one time where I did it day by day. I said no time traveling, and I didn't time travel for 2 years,
Dang.
and I had absolutely no trouble taking it day by day in New
Right.
Leaf. But I don't know about this one. It's just, I guess it's just like we're building bridges and stuff, and like
Yeah.
it's like no, I just want to see that. I don't know why I'm so impatient. I mean, and I think maybe it's with it has to also do with the quarantine. I mean, and that
Yeah, I'm
work
sure.
stuff because with I mean, back with New Leaf, I could walk away from that for a couple. Like,
Right.
I could put the game down, and I had somewhere else I could go, something else I could do.
Yeah.
But now we're all stuck inside. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a challenge, and I think, Animal Crossing came at a good time, but I think even with the like band-aid that was Animal Crossing, people's quarantine wound is still needs healing,
hmm
and they're ready for the next round of treatment, whatever that might
hmm
be. So I want to ask you a different question. Let's move topics here. I'm interested in this is something I've always wanted to ask you. So most people have account names for their games or their
hmm
like online accounts. Um,
hmm
Now I know yours generically is usually Mus. What's
Yes.
the motivation behind that?
I could say there's not really deep motivation, so I use Must because it's easier than the full name, which is Mazorski,
Okay,
which is Muss, and I just use that first Muss for Mus.
sure.
And so Mazorski, he's just one of my favorite music composers. He's a Russian
Oh,
music composer.
okay.
He actually, have you seen Disney Fantasia?
Yeah,
You know, Night on Bald Mountain with the big bat guy, the
yeah.
big demon guy. He actually wrote that song. He composed that
Oh,
piece that
wow.
they played during it.
Okay.
Yep. And so, and uh, I grew up. I was a band geek in high school, in the middle school, and elementary, and so, and I really just his music really spoke to me. Like
Yeah.
my favorite song by him was called "Pictures at Exhibition," and it's a 30-minute song. It's a
Dang.
long one. So um, with it, there are different, movements, and so the explanation for it is that he went to an art gallery or museum and he's looking at different paintings, and so each movement is a different painting. and he weaves these movements together with a piece they call the promenade or promenade,
Okay.
and it's the same like 6 or 7 notes, but it with each different time he plays it, it carries with him the emotion that the last painting left.
Oh,
So like the
wow.
first one is very prideful. It's with a trumpet, and then you get to the first painting. Then after the first painting, the melody carried by a clarinet, while the backup is played by a bassoon, and so
Wow.
it's the theme is just all throughout the piece, and different instruments carry it. And so I kind of use a motto for life that,
No, that's awesome. That's so cool. I
yeah.
love, and that's why I like to ask this question. I plan to kind of put this in the rotation for more
Hmm.
shows coming forward. But I always love asking people what the motivation behind their account name is because there's always usually a story there. So I love that.
Right. And so actually, I shortened it from Mazorski to Mus because the first time I joined the VC, someone had no idea how to say it, and and the word they said muscle orgy, and I'm like,
Oh
okay, no,
gosh.
let's just go with Mus
Yeah,
will work,
I love it. I love it.
and that just
That,
always worked for me.
that's so great, dude. I love it. All right, so let me ask you this then, Xavier. What's a game that you really anticipated, and did it live up to your expectations?
Pokemon Sun and Moon. I
Okay.
really anticipated those games because I thought I really loved the tropical theme, and it was looking exciting for me. I was excited, and so the thing was when I played it at first, I loved it, and
Okay.
then after a while, I started feeling. I felt because one of the things I remember talking to you the most about that game was
Mm.
the Pokedex entries and how detailed they were
Yeah.
and how specific they were to that region. Like of all the crab Pokemon, like there was not Kingler but Clauncher, Abomasnow, and Crawdon. That all these Dex entries say like, oh, Abomasnow, the meat in their claws is delicious, and then for Crawdon, I mean, it says that for most crab Pokemon, except for Crawdon, which it says its meat is disgusting and stinks, and that's because it lives in brackish waters, it lives in dirty waters, it lives
Mm.
in those creeks,
I love
and they're
that.
brutish Pokemon, and their meat is tough. And I was like, that's very detailed, and I feel like that's very specific to the games. And
Yeah.
so, and I just love the detail. Like there was another one like Slow King, like he'll come or Oranguru, the orangutan Pokemon.
Mm.
It will go out to the beach and it'll test its wits against Slow King, which is
Oh
I'm like
yeah.
and like that 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 detail really never plays out in the game. You never see a Slow King in a Oranguru sitting somewhere playing chess or anything, and it's like and so as I saw this detail, I'm like, why is there so much detail in the decks? But I feel like there's stuff that they wanted to add to the game that's not
Mm.
there. And then I remember seeing the art book
Yeah.
for the game and like the concept art of like
Yeah.
in I think it's Maui City. It's a Japanese kind of they say it's based off of Johto or Kanto or one of the regions. And it's a very Japanese looking city. And in the art book, at one point, it looked like they had Hariyama, the big kind of sumo
Oh right.
Rick pulling characters in rickshaw. I'm like, what happened to that? Where was that? That looks like this would have been really cool.
Right.
And then and so I'm like, so yeah. At first, I really anticipated the games. I was excited and happy until I figured out we could have had all this cool stuff,
Mm.
and it never made it into the final game. And then I don't think Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon weren't. I mean, I felt like it wasn't a completion of what they originally set out for.
Mm.
It was
Yeah.
more they like, okay, we can't go in this direction, so let's go this direction. And it wasn't as exciting. I mean, it was more colorful, and the world looked a little more lived in. But other than that, it was.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they really tapped into that concept of what they had because I mean, the detail about the Lola region and just the Pokemon that live there, like
Mm.
that's my favorite thing is seeing how the so I know people make a big stink about learning about spoilers ahead of time for Pokemon and leaks and all that. And I mean, I'm fine with leaks, especially like getting leaked the new Pokemon because what really matters to me is how do these Pokemon fit into the world? Because I
Interesting.
mean, just seeing what a Pokemon looks like, sure, whatever, cool concept. But how does it interact in the world? How does it fit into this region?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I think that's huge because so much of my Pokemon experience is always like, you know, this for me, like I hate spoilers, and so I'm always like, oh, don't say
mhm.
anything, Xavier. But then I play the game and I'm like, oh, what do I do now? Like I don't know what this Pokemon evolves into, or I don't know like the details that would get me maybe a better gameplay experience. So I like your
Right.
approach to the Pokemon world as not okay, that looks cool, or okay, that storyline was cool, but where do these beings that you created, how do they fit into the region and then the overall world as a large? Because
hmm
you know it's cool to see
And
one Pokemon interact with the region, but then it's cool to see that same Pokemon interact with other Pokemon from other regions. That's cool.
right, and I mean how these Pokemon interact with people, and so
Yeah,
I feel like actually that's one of the things I really like mostly about Animal. I started to just segue. I just want to touch on Animal
sure.
Crossing. I think like the way that I've come to like villagers is through like fan art that people do of their relationship to their villager and their
Yeah.
town and so like one of the characters in Animal Crossing I really disliked for a long time because I thought he was just ugly. It's just this he got a suntan. Yeah, sunglasses. His name is Bud.
Okay.
And I don't remember. I couldn't read the comic because it was in Japanese, but it was a comic of Bud and Marshall, the very popular squirrel.
Mm.
He was. They were hanging out, and you could just see they had a great brotherly friendship. I'm like, you know what, Bud, you're all right. I wouldn't mind you living on my. It's just like
I
I
love
don't
that.
know, and so maybe that's another thing I kind of want to see more of is how does that interpret? I mean, we do see, and maybe that could help Animal Crossing bit because I mean, the relationships. I mean, yeah, you get deeper in your relationships. Like they just started. Some of my villagers started going around with a nickname for in the game,
Yeah.
and so I mean, you got to work at the relationship, but it definitely I want to see how close of a friendship you could get with these animals.
Right. Right.
And I mean, I know it's hard because I mean, ultimately, sorry to kind of be a buzzkill, but they're robots. They're just programmed that way. And but I from New Leaf, I remember I had Agnes the pig, and she
Hmm.
was just my best friend in that game. And she threw my birthday party, and it was just
Yeah. No, I think it's been good for people who have been locked inside for so long, as funny as it might sound, but having the simple interactions that you see in Animal
hmm
Crossing, I think has helped people because, you know, we've been trapped inside for so long. I was even saying this to my family the other day. Like we all kind of became lame, you know, like we forgot like how to do like fun things outside of our houses because we've been stuck inside
I'm
for
not
this period
lame.
of time. um,
Oh, good lord.
but yeah, I think Animal Crossing has been helpful in that scenario where you
Mhm,
can see these villagers interacting in a very scripted, very like eventually repetitive way, but the silly
mhm,
letters they send you and the birthday parties and the
mhm.
like the random things I think have been helpful for even for me, but I'm sure for other people as
Yeah.
well.
Like New Leaf, I remember I love like how some of the villagers would get together and like, hey, we're playing hide. Will you want to play with us?
Yeah, right,
And that
right.
was one thing I just loved the personality of that. And so,
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. All right, so we're reaching that 1 hour mark, Xavier. I would like
hmm
to ask you the final question here.
hmm
What virtual world has affected your real world the most?
And actually, funny enough, I'm gonna say Animal Crossing,
Okay. How so?
and it's just uh, this again. I think I want to sum up with a quote that I
Sure.
have, and I know it can sound a little kind of dark, but I mean
That's all right.
it can sound a little dark, but it's not meant to be dark in any way.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so it's the quote is like, so what is the meaning of life or whatnot?
Mm.
And one moment, where is it? I don't see it.
No worries. Take your time.
Play your theme music and come back to me. Um, Here it is. So, what is life about? And it's about the inevitability of death and pizza parties. And so it's just like, yeah, everyone's gonna die, but we have these things that make us happy, and they may be small and insignificant, like pizza parties, but they're still things.
mm.
And so I feel like with Animal Crossing, it's like you boot it up one day, and it's like, hey, we like I remember from New Leaf, it was like, hey, it's a summer solstice. Come and get your ladder glasses and look like a come look like a frat boy. We're partying. It's like
I love it.
it's just and it's just I think it's those small things that have taught me to be a little just spontaneous and open. Like one of the things I love right now is that we live off base here in Korea, so we're out in the community.
Mm.
But they're also kind of we're in a suburb area, but there are other Americans. And so actually a good friend I made here, and I play Animal Crossing with her too, is that they live a couple houses down, and they didn't really have friends when they came here, but they
Mm.
were my age. They were a married couple, and so one of the things I've enjoyed recently is just being neighborly. Like the other
Mm.
day, we sat out on the porch and we played Uno with Dragon Ball Z themed Uno cards, and we were just
Oh
neighbors.
wow.
We just talked.
I
We
love
were
it.
just shooting the breeze, and it was just like, and I think Animal Crossing, catches that idea of
Mm.
being neighborly. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna die someday, but might as well have a pizza party again. Let's play hide and seek,
Right.
and I think I've really picked this up in many games. Actually, many of my favorite games have kind of this like for Persona 5 during the loading screens before between each like you're moving areas or whatnot. What the saying in the bottom loading screen when it flashes, it says take your time.
Mm.
No matter what, it says take your time. And it's and so
Wow.
in another thing Yokai Watch too, they really opened up a train system like and it's very indicative of how train systems in Japan are. They
Mm.
just kind of throw you at it, and the thing says, "Oh, the train, the express train, the local train," and you're like, "I don't know what this means." A number of times I got on the wrong train,
Right.
going the wrong direction, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's how it is in Japan, especially if you're a foreigner." I
Yeah.
imagine, and I imagine a kid gets lost on a train like that too. But so one of the biggest complaints I know the community had about that game was how long the train takes. Like if you're not on the express train, well, I don't think it's even a loading screen. It's a loaded screen.
Mm.
And sometimes, I mean, you'll run into people on the train. They'll talk to you. You run into other yokai that want battle. Or sometimes the screen it's just the ambience. You see your character sitting there looking out the window in the train seat
Mm.
for a good 30 seconds while the train goes by. And I think that was one of the most immersive things of, hey, you're on a train going, I mean, yeah, not everything's going to be happening.
Right.
You're on a train, so just relax, enjoy it.
No, that's so
And I
cool.
feel like
I love that
it's like,
idea of just like you have the video games that you play, like, you know, the virtual
Hmm.
worlds, they encourage you to take a breath in your real world. I love that.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Not just and I mean, and I feel like this ties into Animal Crossing. I know one of the biggest complaints people have is that they want, oh, let me craft 10 of these items at once, not one by one. But
Mm,
it's like, but in real life, Animal Crossing trying to get you to slow down. That's why they
yeah,
have it like that, not to make things easier or streamlined.
right,
I
right,
mean, that's very much against what Animal Crossing is trying to do.
right. Yep. I've had that same conversation with many friends about how, like,
Hmm.
yeah, they could give you a tool that would let you dig, you know, 4 holes or like 4 spaces for the water pathways. But like that's the opposite of Animal Crossing. Like Animal Crossing has
Yeah,
always been slow, methodical gameplay.
yes, and so, and I feel like I'm just rediscovering that because I mean that, and
Yeah,
so,
I love it.
and it definitely find me at a different place in my life, and so it's interesting
Yeah.
how how I'm seeing people navigate it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, hey, Xavier, thank you so much for your time. This was a blast. Um,
Yes, it is.
you know, I could talk
But
all day about game stuff, but I've
but
appreciated
thank you
hearing
for
your
having me.
opinions. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And we will talk more soon. And thank you for everyone
Yeah,
listening. And
I look forward to listening more of your episodes too.
yeah,
Just
thank you, sir.
hearing other people's opinions.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about sharing the
Hmm.
opinions. All right, brother.